The story is best experienced with headphones. The audio may include loud sounds and creepy moments. Viewer discretion is advised. If you are ready, grab a cup of tea or a warm drink, kick back, relax, pick up your art supplies, and immerse yourself in the world of Croatian folklore. When Luka returned home after 3 long years in the city, he thought he would feel only happiness in seeing his village once again. His small village was situated next to the Drava, the same river where he had spent his childhood summers splashing his friends, diving in search for smooth stones, and daring each other for who will hold their breath underwater the longest. He also remembered his grandparents' warnings. Never go near the river alone, they used to say. He always assumed they feared he would drown. But now, an adult and confident in the water, he decided that taking the quicker path along the shore wouldn't hurt him. So he walked by the calm waters of the Drava River, its surface calm, the sun slipping through branches, church bells echoing noon. Then he heard something faint in the distance. Someone calling his name from the water 3 times, each softer and more irresistible than the last.
Luka, Luka, Luka.
He froze on the muddy path, every hair on his body lifted. No, it was impossible. Just a childhood tale, nothing more. So he stepped back, did not answer, and hastily walked towards the village, holding his breath. His uncle was first to notice his pale face. "What happened? Are you okay?" he asked, worriedly. "Nothing," Lucas said. "Just something strange by the river." A moment of silence filled the room, and then his uncle asked, "Did it speak?" Luca hesitated for a moment. It called my name." His uncle's shoulders dropped as if someone had struck him. "You will not go near the river alone. Not at dawn, not at dusk, and especially not at midday. You understand?" Luca nodded. Sleep did not come easily that night. That night, he dreamt of himself on a small wooden boat, drifting away on top of calm waters until the shine of a full moon. For a moment, he felt peaceful, until a green hand grabbed the side of the boat. A shadow in the water, something like a human, but with a beard, like seaweed, and a sound of bubbling laughter. From the now dark water. Luca woke up in panic. He went to see his grandpa Stepan, one of the oldest men in the village. He used to be a sailor, and only recently retired after some health complications put a stop to his lifelong passion. He remembers his family telling him, as a kid, about his grandpa's greatest endeavors, how he saw this thing in the river and even outsmarted it. Luca found him by the house's entrance, smoking a pipe. "I heard it," Luca said quietly. "Something called me." Stepan took the pipe from his lips. "The river calls many," he said, "but only the foolish answer." What was it? A Vitaplenic? Grandpa Stepan shook his head. No, a Vitaplenic is only a servant. A drowned soul trapped in a clay pot, forced to serve until it brings another in its place. He tapped ash from his pipe. What called you was its master, a Vodenyak. They used to say he lives in a glass palace beneath the currents, sort of a king of waters. I remember in the old days they would call him Sari or Matori, never his true name. Said it was forbidden, that he could hear you speak it. Luca swallowed. What does he want from me? Slaves. Stepan's voice was flat. Your soul in its clay pot. He plays cards with drowned men, smokes their tobacco, commands their hands, and he loves the strong, stubborn ones. Grandpa Stepan leaned closer. He will call again, 3 times each day, at dawn, at dusk, at noon. Just don't answer. But it really wasn't that simple. The second day at dusk, Luca heard a child crying by the river. Thin, desperate sobs. He ran with his heart pounding, only to stop when he saw the source of the cries. A small boy in a green shirt and a pointed hat. The child lifted his head. His skin was the color of deep water. His eyes, big black stones. When he smiled, Luca could feel the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. A Vitaplenic.
Help me. Help me. Please.
Said the boy. Luca stepped back, his grandpa's words echoing in his mind. The Vodenyak can take many shapes. A horse galloping along the shore, a dog softly whimpering, or a drowning child calling for help. The boy hissed, flickered like mist, and then vanished. On the night of the second day, he found himself in a different dream. Luca found himself peacefully floating by on the gentle waters of the lake, his skin glimmering under the moonlight. He felt relaxed, weightless, like he had no worry in the world. He could hear faint music in the distance, almost as if it was coming from beneath the gentle waters that were keeping him afloat. And then, there it was, a heavenly voice singing a melody. The melody held no words, or at least no words that he could recognize. But somehow, he felt like he could understand it anyway. They urged him to rest, to surrender, to let the soothing waters hold him completely. As he relaxed further, he felt as if the music and the angelic voice was moving closer and closer to him. He suddenly felt a gentle hand caressing his bicep, and he turned his head. There, half submerged beside him, floated a being that could only have stepped out of a fairy tale. A beautiful nymph, long black hair floating like silk around her, shimmering green eyes fixed on him. When he looked a bit closer, he could see that her skin had a faint blue hue and was adorned with intricate scales. It made perfect sense, at least to his exhausted mind, that such an otherworldly voice could belong only to a creature not of its world. He gave in, allowing the nymph to pull him into her embrace as she continued her lullaby. Only then did her gentle hold shift, subtly at first, then decisively, her fingers tightening, sharpening. Luca felt her pulling him down into the once tranquil waters. He started panicking, trying to escape, but the grasp was too strong for him to fight off. As he fought her off, he forced himself to look at her again, and this time, a monstrous face stared back at him, exactly like the ones described in old stories. Her skin had turned a mossy green, her mouth gaped, filled with rows of needle-like teeth. Two large, empty fish eyes blocked at him. Her hands had become claws, dragging him downward, drowning him. His body weakened, lungs burning. His chest tightened as desperation forced him to inhale, and he jolted awake, gasping, panicked. The echo of cold water still clinging to him. The lack of proper sleep started getting to Luca. One afternoon, he wandered through the fields, trying to clear his mind, but somehow his feet carried him to the bridge over the river. Something seemed to be shimmering beneath the surface. Luca took a look, stepping closer. A tall figure, green-skinned with hair made of weeds and a beard dripping in algae. He wore a wide hat made of reeds and no clothes, his bare chest covered in moss. Around him, the water swirled, as though the river itself bowed to him.
Luca.
His voice was the murmur of currents.
Luca.
He raised a braided whip of river grass, the same whip he used to snare the ankles of swimmers.
Luca.
The third call was not a voice at all, but the roar of flood water and grief of every drowned soul. Luca squeezed his eyes shut. He did not speak. He did not answer. He bit his lips until he tasted blood, refusing to answer. And then, silence. When he opened his eyes, the river was empty. That evening, Luca returned to his grandpa, Stepan, shaking. "He's chosen you," Stepan said simply. I didn't answer. "And that is why you're still breathing." What do I do now? His grandpa reached into a drawer and took out a small pouch. "Garlic, saprat, and a coin for the river. You'll give him offerings. Bread, salt, the first fish you catch. A bit of tobacco now and then. He likes that." Luca stared. Will he stop? Stepan's eyes were sad. "No, but he will lose interest. Eventually." Eventually? Luca whispered. better than the alternative. He hesitated, then placed a clay shard in Luca's hand. The broken fragment of what looked like an old pot. One of his jars, Stepan said, used to hold the drowned. It's just a piece now. It holds no power anymore, but keep it. It'll remind you why the river calls. That night, Luca dreamed of a crystal palace beneath the water. Shimmering, cold, filled with green-faced servants shuffling between shelves of clay pots. Each pot held a faint, wholesome light, and there, on one of the shelves, stood one of them that glowed brighter than the others. He recognized the shape, its edges, cracks. That pot was for him. He woke, drenched in sweat. He left the next morning. He boarded the bus before dawn, refusing to look at the river. He took the seat by the window and clutched the broken shard of the pot that his grandfather gave him. As the bus rolled past the last bend of the Drava, he couldn't help but steal a glance. A man stood at the riverbank. He was tall, motionless, and wearing a wide hat of reeds. Beside him stood another figure, small, looked like a normal human, reaching out a trembling hand toward the water. Luca held his breath. Then the bus hurried when the river vanished from view. But he knew the truth. Another lost soul had answered the river's call.